Hey everybody, this is Chris. In this video, I want to do something a bit different. I want to look at a speech by Emma Watson, who also played Hermione in the Harry Potter films. We're going to look at this speech together and I'll talk about some of the things that you can learn from the words that she uses and her accent. And we can also learn a bit of the British accent with Emma Watson. So let's start.
Your Excellencies, UN Secretary General, President of the General Assembly, Executive Director of UN Women, and distinguished guests. Today, we are launching a campaign called
So the first thing to say is I think she's actually quite nervous here because she's pronouncing every word very precisely. And she also has some very British aspects to her accent, of course. Like you just heard she said launching. Or this long sound is very particular to British English and the British accent. She said launching a campaign. She could have also said starting a campaign. It means the same thing here.
He for she.
This is the name of the campaign,
He for she. We need your help. We want to end gender inequality.
Okay, so here she says inequality. This is a long word. Let's look at this. Inequality. The stress is on the quality part. So this means that things are not equal. The status of men and women is not equal. This is what we call inequality.
We need everyone involved. This is the first campaign of its kind at the UN. We want to try and galvanize as many men and boys as possible to be advocates for change.
She talks about advocates. Do you know what this word means? An advocate is somebody who supports something publicly, who announces that they support something. This is pronounced advocate. An advocate. You can be an advocate for change, for example.
And we don't just want to talk about it. We want to try and make sure that it's tangible.
Okay, so she says tangible. Tangible means that something that you can clearly see or you can touch or you can feel. So she wants this change to be tangible. We could also say something like a tangible benefit or a tangible improvement in something.
I was appointed as Goodwill Ambassador for UN Women 6 months ago. And the more I've spoken about feminism, the more I have realized that fighting for women's rights has too often become synonymous with man-hating.
Okay, she talks about synonymous. What does synonymous mean? This means that something means the same thing as something else. Synonymous. So you could say that, for example, Apple, the company Apple, could be synonymous with quality. This could also mean it's closely connected to it.
If there is one thing I know for certain, it is that this has to stop.
She uses a very British sound here. Certain, this sound, very particular to the southern British accent. Certain. So if you want to sound like Emma Watson, you need to use lots of sounds in your speech, like her, certain, and so on.
For the record, feminism, by definition, is the belief that men and women should have equal rights and opportunities.
Okay, so record, she uses the word record here, very British tone in record, or. This sound is very particular to the British accent, or record. If you're talking about record, this means you're recording something. This is a verb here, so, but here she uses record, which means something that's written down or there is a copy of somewhere.
The political, economic, and social equality of the sexes. I started questioning gender-based assumptions a long time ago. When I was 8, I was confused being called bossy because I wanted to direct the plays that we would put on for our parents, but the boys were not. When at 14,
Okay, she said that when she was 8 years old, she was called bossy. So what does bossy mean? It means that she was telling other people what to do, or other people thought that she was telling people what to do. And this is a word that's often used about women, perhaps wrongly, as she said. But it's one of the most important words that she's highlighting here.
Started to be sexualized by certain elements of the media. When at 15, my girlfriends started dropping out of their beloved sports teams because they didn't want to appear muscly. When at 18, my male friends were unable to express their feelings. I decided that I was a feminist. And this...
Okay, so she says that she is a feminist. Feminist. So what is a feminist? It's somebody who thinks that women should have the same rights as men. Women should be equal to men. And that's what she's talking about in this speech as well, being a feminist.
Seemed uncomplicated to me. But my recent research has shown me that feminism has become an unpopular word. Women are choosing not to identify as feminist. Apparently, I am among the ranks of women whose expressions are seen as too strong, too aggressive, isolating, and anti-men.
Okay, so she says that people say that her expressions, the way she moves her face, this is anti-men. So we use the word anti to describe something that you don't agree with or something that you are against. So you could say, I'm anti-war. This means that I don't agree with war. I think that it's wrong.
Why has the word become such an uncomfortable one? I am from Britain. And I think it is right that I am paid the same as my male counterparts. I think it is right that I should be able to make decisions about my own body.
So she says she's from Britain. Britain. So she uses this glottal stop here. Britain. Britain. And she doesn't say Britain. She says Britain. And she's talking here about that everybody should get paid the same, whether you are a man or a woman. So this is another important part of her speech.
I think it is right that women be involved on my behalf in the policies and the decisions that will affect my life. I think it is right that socially I am afforded the same respect as men. But sadly, I can say that there is no one country in the world where all women can expect to receive these rights.
Okay, once again, she's using this sound. World. World. Can you say this right? It should be plus ld. World. So this is how it's pronounced in the British accent. Important word to get right.
No country in the world can yet say that they have achieved gender equality. These rights I consider to be human rights, but I am one of the lucky ones. My life is a sheer privilege.
She says her life is a sheer privilege. What does sheer mean? It means very big or very great. For example, you could say the sheer size of something. I was impressed by the sheer size of the building. We could also say sheer luck, which just means you were very lucky. I got it by sheer luck. So this is the word sheer.
I would like to take this opportunity to extend your formal invitation.
Okay, so here she's using a very formal phrase. She said, I would like to take this opportunity. Opportunity. In British English, we would say this with a y sound in the middle. Opportunity. Opportunity. And she also says, extend a formal invitation. If you say extend a formal invitation to you, you mean invite you to do something. I would like to invite you to do something. It's because she's making a speech here. She's using some of these very formal expressions, and it's quite good to remember some of these.
Gender equality is your issue too. Because to date, I've seen my father's role as a parent being valued less by society.
Once again, she's using the very British sound ah. When she says father, she doesn't say father like in the American accent. She says father, ah, and then at the end. Father, father, my father. Okay, sounds, if you want to get the British accent right, you need to get this ah sound accurate.
Despite my needing his presence as a child as much as my mother's, I've seen young men suffering from mental illness, unable to ask for help, for fear it would make them less of a man or less of a man. In fact, in the UK, suicide is the biggest killer of men, between 20 to 49. I've seen men made fragile and insecure by a distorted sense of what constitutes male success.
She said men are made insecure. What does insecure mean? It means that you're not confident about something. You don't feel confident. For example, if you think that you might lose your job, you might feel very insecure. This has the sound at the end. Insecure.
Men don't have the benefits of equality either. We don't often talk about men being imprisoned by gender stereotypes, but I can see that they are.
Okay, so what is a gender stereotype? A stereotype is a fixed idea that you have about something, which might not be true. For example, if you think that French people are romantic, this is a stereotype. Maybe it's true, maybe it's not true. So a gender stereotype is something that you think about men or women.
And that when they are free, things will change for women as a natural consequence. If men don't have to be aggressive in order to be accepted, women won't feel compelled to be submissive.
So what does this mean? Women won't feel compelled to be submissive. So compelled means that you're forced to do something. You have to do something. And submissive means that you have to submit. You have to obey what somebody else says about something. You have to do what somebody says. They won't feel that they are forced to do what somebody says.
And this is what he/she is about. It's about freedom. I want men to take up this mantle so that their daughters, sisters, and mothers can be free from prejudice.
Okay, so here she mentions the word prejudice. So this is another important keyword in her speech. So what does prejudice mean? This means that you prefer something. Maybe you like something or you don't like something for some reason. For example, gender prejudice might mean that you prefer men for something or you prefer women. Or racial prejudice could mean that you prefer a specific race of people. For example, white people or black people or Indian people, you have this opinion. You can also say you are prejudiced against something. For example, he's prejudiced against women. So we use the word against, the preposition against here.
But also so that their sons have permission to be vulnerable and human too.
Okay, so what does vulnerable mean? This is another important word. Vulnerable. Vulnerable means that you are weak or you can be hurt easily. So if you feel vulnerable, it means sometimes we would say vulnerable, and sometimes we would pronounce this in full, like vulnerable, vulnerable. Okay, this means weak or you can be hurt easily.
Reclaim those parts of themselves they abandoned, and in doing so, be a more true and complete version of themselves. You might be thinking, who is this Harry Potter girl? And what is she doing speaking at the UN? And it's
I love the way she calls herself the Harry Potter girl, just acknowledging what everybody may be thinking at some time. Harry Potter, okay? This is the essence of the British accent and British culture, right? Harry Potter.
It's a really good question. I've been asking myself the same thing. All I know is that I care about this problem.
This
and
word
I want
no.
to make...
She gets this O sound, a wonderful aspect of the British accent as well. You can learn this one. No, you got to get this O. Your mouth starts off wide, it goes right in like this. O. No.
Make it better. And having seen what I've seen, and given the chance, I feel it is my responsibility
chance.
to
Very
say
British.
something. Statesman Edmund Burke said, "All that is needed for the forces of evil to triumph is for good men and women to do nothing."
Okay, so she used a proverb here that all that's necessary for the triumph of evil is for good people to do nothing. So what does this mean? It means if good people do nothing, then the evil will win and there'll be a lot of evil in the world. So if the world is going to be good and not evil, it means that good people need to take action and do things. So good people need to stand up. So it's good to use quotes like this in your speech. It can be very powerful.
In my nervousness for this speech, and in my moments of doubt, I've told myself firmly, if not me, who?
So she said, in my nervousness, she admits that she was nervous before this speech, which is a good device to use. Nervous, she uses sound again. Nervous, at the end. Nervous, nervousness.
If not now, when? If you have similar doubts when opportunities are presented to you, I hope that those words will be helpful. Because the reality is that if we do nothing, it will take 75 years, or for me to be nearly 100, before women can expect to be paid the same as men for the same work. 15.5 million girls will be married in the next 16 years as children. And at current rates, it won't be until 2086 before all rural African girls can have a secondary education. If you believe inequality, you might be one of those inadvertent feminists that I spoke of earlier. And for this,
So what does this mean, an inadvertent feminist? We already know that a feminist is somebody who cares about equal rights for men and for women. But inadvertent, what does this word mean? Inadvertent. This means that you don't notice something, or you're not aware of something. You are it, but you don't know. So I'm an inadvertent feminist. That's what this word means.
I applaud you.
So what does this mean? I applaud you. It means I agree with you. I support you. Applaud literally means to clap your hands, right? But it just means I support you and what you're doing.
We are struggling for a uniting word, but the good news is that we have a uniting movement.
So what is a uniting movement? Uniting means an action that people are joining together. People who believe in the same thing are coming together and taking action. This is a uniting movement. That's what this means.
It is called He for She.
So this is the name of her movement, He for She. He, of course, referring to men, and she referring to women. She's talking about men also taking action here.
I am inviting you to step forward, to be seen, and to ask yourself, if not me, who? If not now, when? Thank you very, very much.
Okay, everybody, that was our speech by Emma Watson. I really hope you enjoyed this video and you learned something new. Please let me know what you thought of this video. Would you like me to do more videos like this? If you learned something new, please do help me to click the like button and subscribe, because I'm going to be putting out regular videos from now on. And if you want to learn the British accent, if you want to sound more like Emma Watson or more like somebody from the UK, more like a native speaker, then just click the link below this video. You can sign up and you can take my mini British English pronunciation course absolutely free. Alright, so that's it for this video. I really hope you enjoyed it, as I said, and see you again in the next video.